Chris Brown, Steve Tasker, just 2 days away from the kickoff game. Bills-Rams, 8:20 Eastern Time kickoff. The guy who will be out west seeing kickoff at 5:20 Pacific Time, though, is NFL Network Rams analyst Maurice Jones-Drew, who joins us here on the line now. MJD, good to have you. And I got to start here. It's been pretty hot out there. I see kickoff time is going to be like 91 degrees is the forecast. How is it in there in SoFi? Because we haven't been in there. What's that like?
Well, first of all, the whole coast of California, the whole state is hot, right?
Yeah.
I live in the Bay Area, and it's 112 today. So
Woo!
it's down in LA. I think it's like 108. So it's going to be hot and muggy. The stadium is perfect, though. They have a great, circulation in the air because both sides are wide open, so the wind can blow through there. It's right there by the airport, right by the ocean, so you'll get some air there. But it's going to be humid. It'll be hot, and it's going to be great for football. And as the night goes on, I think the temperature will drop a little bit. But as a player, I always like to play in warm weather because you just feel better, at the end of the day. Like your muscles are warm. You don't have to do extra warming up to get better or to get right for the game. You should just be ready to go.
Yeah, and you see these two teams come take the field for opening game. The banner's going to go up. The fans are going to be going crazy. It's going to be a great moment for that franchise to raise that banner. But both these teams are a little bit different than they were just 8 months ago. Robert Woods gone. The OBJ's not in the house. Von Miller's now on the other side of the field. Talk about the pluses and minuses for the roster for the Rams and how it might affect what they do on the field.
Well, I think first and foremost, you start with Aaron Donald being there has always helped the defense out, right? I remember the last time the Rams played the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, Aaron Donald kind of took over the game. So it starts there with that on the defensive side. Can they block Aaron Donald? Now, from there, Leonard Floyd has to step up and make some plays on the outside. Justin Hollins as well. Bobby Wagner comes in to solidify the kind of that defense, being the play caller. Last year, I want to say 5 different guys called the plays, had the green dot for the Rams, right? So at first it started with your safety, then Jalen Ramsey called it, and the safety, it was just so many different guys. So you're going to have consistency there with Bobby Wagner being able to call the plays, as well as a top-notch player. On the back end, obviously Jalen Ramsey's there. You have Troy Hill back. They have a lot of young guys that can play as well. So I think defensively you're going to be happy. Now, obviously everyone wants to talk about OBJ and what he was able to do on that run, which was magnificent. But then you bring in Allen Robinson, who is one of the toughest receivers to cover at 6'3", almost 6'4", has the body control to do a lot of different things, runs routes like a smaller receiver on top of having, the triple crown Werner Cooper Cup there. And a healthy Matthew Stafford. I think a lot of people, he was dealing with that elbow injury a little bit last year, kind of towards the end of the season, but he was able to bounce back and make some plays. And I'm excited to kind of see what they do. And on top of that, they have Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and Kyron Williams to kind of be that triple-headed running game with Tyler Higbee being their tight end. So they're ready to go. Now, the offensive line's a little different because Whitworth's not there, but Joe Noteboom was their first draft pick. And he gets a chance to show why they drafted him first overall, the McVay era. So they have some guys that are ready to go. You guys definitely took someone that we wanted, that we needed, in Von Miller. But I'm excited for Von. I'm excited for you guys and what the Bills are going to bring to the table is this first matchup is going to be tough for both teams.
We've been talking about that, Steve and I, that offensive line kind of coming together. I mean, I realize they have holdovers from last year too, because the center and the right tackle are the same, Havenstein. But they don't play in the preseason. And I understand they had a couple of joint practices with the Bengals, but you know how that line's got to kind of gel together, and they need live reps to know how to work off of one another and that kind of thing. Is it fair to assume they're going to be a well-oiled machine up front in week one, especially not getting preseason snaps in a live preseason game setting?
It's funny because I used to be a guy that thought you had to play in the preseason. But as we saw in the preseason, it's risk versus reward, right? Do you try to get these guys some reps and going and risk injury? Obviously, we saw what happened to the Jets, right? With their quarterback is going to either play week one, not at 100% or not play week 1. And so there's so many things that can happen in the preseason. And the way the Rams practice, I mean, they practice hard. And so, and I still think even if you play in the preseason, you still are going to try to find your sea legs as the season goes along. And so I don't think they'll be a well-oiled machine, not at all. But all 5 of those guys have been on this roster and understand this playbook, and they've been around for 3+ years. Coleman Shelton has been around, just a backup guy. He was a backup center, backup guard. Joe Noteboom has played a lot, and when Whitworth has gone down in certain situations, or he's come in as the extra tight end, or he even played when Rob Havenstein had lost a little bit. So they have the continuity that you're talking about. It's just about getting out there and getting those reps together in a live situation.
And what about Van Jefferson, his availability? What's the latest?
It seems like he's day to day. Just listening to McVay talk, that's one that's going to sting a little bit. Van Jefferson is a really good wide receiver. He does a lot in the running game, blocking, and he kind of gets lost in the shuffle with all the great players that the Rams have had at that position. So he's day to day right now. Don't know. I think we'll learn more tomorrow. Obviously, it's tomorrow being the day before the game. But they have other guys that can step up and that need to step up in order to be able to go out there and make plays and try to win this game.
What about, defensively opposite Ramsey? You got the third-year player who's now CB2, and now his name's escaping me. I got to pull up the depth chart real quick. But you don't have Darius Williams there anymore at the other corner. I mean, those are some big shoes to fill. I thought Darius Williams was kind of an underrated player for those guys on the back end. And, now you've got Troy Hill, who's back after leaving. Is he just kind of step right back in because he's been there and done that with this group?
Yeah, I definitely think Troy Hill's going to step right back in and go. I mean, that's what it seemed like throughout training camp and throughout some of these joint practices they've had. Robert Rochelle's another guy that you'll see that has the frame of Jalen Ramsey, long arms, high cut, really physical. But you'll also see some of the rookies that they've drafted. The guy's name slipped me, but he played
Kobe
at Georgia
Durant?
and Clemson.
Kobe Durant.
Jacoby Durant as well. He'll play a lot as well. You have Fuller who's coming back that'll play. You have Taylor Rapp. You have Terrell Burgess. There's so many guys. They have their safety again. You have to excuse me. I've been single dad for a little bit, so I'm trying to balance
Jordan
kids,
Fuller, Nick Scott.
work. Yeah, Nick Scott. So you have so many guys that have played, right? And that's the beautiful thing about the Rams. And I think a lot of teams will start to adopt that. They draft, they develop, they play them, right? They don't try to go out and look out. I mean, every now and then they'll go out and trade for a guy. They traded for Jalen Ramsey. They traded for Von Miller, guys that can help that immediate pass rush. But they try to give their guys the opportunity to be able to go out there and make plays. And so when you do that, all of a sudden Nick Scott's your starting safety with Jordan Fuller. Taylor Rapp can come in and play as well. I mean, Terrell Burgess, you got different linebackers that have come in and made plays. So they're ready to go. And I think Troy Hill will be the guy opposite, but you guys have 3 guys that can go. So they're going to have to be in that nickel set as much as possible to try to limit, access from one of my boys, Stephon Diggs, who's been dominating. And so they have their hands full, and it's going to be exciting. Again, it's just going to be an exciting game.
What kind of personnel sets do they? The Bills run probably as much 11 personnel as anybody in the National Football League. Rams maybe as much or more. What kind of personnel groupings are they going to evolve away from that at all, or are they going to just kind of keep on keeping on, particularly with the addition of Allen Robinson?
I think the Rams are who they are. They love that 11 package. Last year they kind of went to 12 a little bit to throw some guys off because they had some young guys playing, and that actually helped them in that playoff run. But they're an 11 team. They want to be 11. That's where they feel most comfortable. And that's just what it is. And you can't knock it as much as I love 21 personnel, right? As much as I love having a fullback there and, playing a little power football, they've had so much success of spreading the ball all over the yard, forcing the defense to cover the 100 yards vertically and the 53.5 yards horizontally on every play. It's tough to kind of go against it. So the Rams, again, they'll probably be in that 11 package and that 11 personnel and have multiple plays out of it.
We know that it's going to be Kyer Elam and potentially 6th-round pick Christian Benford. They might even platoon those guys over on the cornerback spot opposite Dane Jackson with Tre'Davious White on reserve PUP for the first 4 games of the season. You know they're going to have a bullseye on their chest. How do you anticipate McVay and Stafford trying to take advantage of an inexperienced player on that side in a game like this?
Well, the defense the Bills run, it allows you to play some inexperienced guys at the corner position, right? Because they play cover 2. So they don't really have to worry about the deep shot as much. So you're going to see a lot of cover 2 where it's going to put more onus on your 2 all-pro safeties and your linebackers. And so it's going to be more onus on those guys to pass rush getting there than it will be on those corners covering man-to-man. As much as, we like to think that the Bills – when you watch their tape, they're going to sit in cover 2, and they're going to have those corners sink, read the quarterback, jump routes, and it's going to be on Stafford to have to get those guys to bite on something and be able to throw the ball behind them, or to be patient enough to take the check down and kind of be methodical down the field. The one thing about the Buffalo Bills, though, about your defense, is that when they get in the red zone, they're tough, right? Like they're going to play that bend, don't break defense where you get in the red zone, you have to try to fit in a couple tighter windows. The pass rush is a little bit more prevalent down there. And I think, again, those are times when you have to see the creativity of Sean McVay and company to try to take advantage of a zone coverage team.
You had Cooper Kupp, and as you mentioned, the Triple Crown winner last year, 1,900-plus yards in receiving, ton of touchdowns, ton of targets. Allen Robinson comes in, and the guy is legit number one. I mean, he is a guy. How does that, how possibly does that change things for Cooper Kupp and Sean McVay having another bona fide target and just having another dude out there that's going to suck some targets away from a guy who already showed he can be the number one guy?
I don't think he's going to take many targets away from Cooper Kupp, to be honest with you. I think he had 145 targets last year. I don't think that's going to change any bit. Just because Robert Wood had his opportunities and targets in certain games. Tyler Higbee had targets in some of those games. I don't know if Allen will get 145, but the ones he will get will be crucial. They'll be the ones that, he is getting the one-on-one coverage, and the coverage is shifted towards Cooper Kupp. So you have that ability to be outside and can catch a fade ball or a comeback or a go route or whatever it may be, a hitch. And so I think they're going to utilize his skill set. Like I said, he has such a huge catch radius. You'll see Stafford kind of go with him. And I'll say this, they were in Cincinnati playing in their joint practice. And it was like, you could take that fade ball to Allen Robinson every play if you wanted to when they got in the tight red zone. But you could hear and you could actually see Stafford trying to work the other side, because it's just like, we're not going to take that every time. We want to work our concepts and see how things work. So they have some things that they'll be able to take advantage of in that game. But again, they have to get down there to take advantage of some of those things and his size and his ability.
Last one I got for you, Maurice, is the return game. Brandon Powell spent most of last offseason in 2021 with the Bills, didn't make the roster, bounces around a little bit, lands with the Rams, pretty productive as a return man for them. He's handling kicks and punts again this year. What did you see from him late last year, and was he kind of a shot in the arm for their return game?
Oh, I mean, not just the return game, all special teams. To be honest, they were struggling trying to put guys back there to see who could return. Sonny Michel was returning kickoffs. Cooper Kupp was returning punts. They had other guys back there as well. Tutu Atwell was back there trying to return. And when you brought Brandon Powell in, it allowed everyone to kind of be put in their natural position. They had guys that probably should be on the front line of kickoff return trying to return kicks. So now you put a more athletic body on the front of that kickoff return, you have ability to go get it. On punt return, the same thing. Instead of having guys back there to try to return punts, they can go now and block and do some different things. So it allowed us, it really just put a shot in the whole special teams. The kick coverage was better. Punt coverage was better. Everybody was better once Brandon Powell got back, which is weird to say that about a returner. But again, it's very similar to like when Stephon Diggs got to the Buffalo Bills. He was when he got there to be the number one, it put everyone in their right position to play and be able to take advantage of certain teams, right? Cole Beasley goes from a 2 to the slot number 3 guy. Gabriel Davis goes to number 2. And now all of a sudden you have what you need there. And so the same thing happened when Brandon Powell, when he came to the Rams, was that guys that were returning or in practice wasting time to catch punts and kicks, now they can just go down and be a gunner. They can go down and be in the box and punt return. On kickoff return, they can be a specific position and make plays.
Last one from me, Maurice. Sean McVay, 5-0 in in openers under as his head coach of the Rams. Do you think there's a general reason for that, or is that just a guy who has a knack for getting his team ready with a lot of unknowns?
Well, I'll say this: the Rams try to win. They try to win the injury report, and it's interesting to see that, right? You never really hear it. They try to win the injury report, and a lot of teams that are banged up come into week one, and he's had a lot of success, as well as they start to obviously game plan a little bit, early as I'm sure everyone else does. But they haven't played a team like the Bills, so they're definitely going to get challenged in this first week. That's what happens when you're the Super Bowl champion. You end up playing probably the toughest schedule, and it is what it is. At this point, I'm excited to kind of see how he'll be able to adjust and make and start the game. I think it's important for the Rams to start the game fast, because the last time they played the Buffalo Bills, they started slow and they came roaring back. And I think they wasted a lot of energy trying to come back. And it allowed, obviously the Bills to have that call that we won't talk about on Darius Williams, as you were talking about, that PI call. That wasn't PI, but you guys won the game. So I think it's a lot going on in this one, and it's going to be important for the Rams to start fast to try to eke this one out.
Right.
All right, Maurice, thanks as always for the time. We appreciate it. Enjoy the game. It should be a good one.
Oh, I can't wait. It's fireworks are already in the air.